Hey, everybody. What's up, you nerds? This is the first time you see me, and I'm saying that, right? Or no, that's not the first time.
We've done video before, but yeah.
It's just been a long time.
Vince and I, so we could have a little more space. He's over there. Actually, he's right over here.
Yeah.
Is there a delay? Can you hear an audible delay between Vince and you?
I turned off all my own volume, so
okay, cool.
Right now I'm just in my head.
Yeah, I can't really hear anything anyway. So
this is the same setup for anybody that watches my personal channel's live stream. This is the exact shot that you always see. So welcome again, because I don't want to move that camera.
Yeah, I'm working on building a shed outside, and that's where all my video stuff going to be is going to be from here on out. So it's not going to be the corner anymore.
Wait, okay. After the I was almost said live stream. After the podcast, I got to ask you where you're going to put that shed.
Oh, it's just right outside, kind of where the girls' stuff was at. I took that down. I'm going to incorporate that into the shed.
Nice. I was just thinking, like, for anybody who's been to Los Angeles, you like land?
Yeah, exactly. My parents are like, yeah, we bought 20 acres. Like, oh, yeah, I wish I had like 1/10 of an acre.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, it's funny because, like, I know, have you ever seen, I can't remember his name. There's a comedian, but he went to, like, Congress, I think, to, like, argue about, like, student loan forgiveness and stuff. And he, I can see his name, but I'm trying to remember how to pronounce it because it's a big deal to not pronounce it correctly because everybody mispronounces it. But anyway, so the case he made, though, to everybody on, like, in Senate or Congress or wherever he was at, he found each of their student tuitions when they were in college. Mm-hmm. It's told, like, addressed everybody them, and then told them what they are now, and also adjusted for inflation. Yeah. And stuff. So anyway, I say all that because, like, my parents are like, "Are you doing okay with rent?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So 1 year, my rent was how much you paid for your house.
Yeah.
Hang on, I just realized my lighting is automatically changing because the sun is setting. Ooh. Let me try to fix that. Otherwise, you're going to see something like you probably saw. It's turned like cherry blossom pink back here.
So
like out of nowhere.
Makes me sleepy.
Sleepy.
But anyway, we watched Justice League Dark, the Apokolips War. Have you guys seen any of the other movies that were, somewhat similar? Because they're kind of halfway connected.
I think we both actually seen Flashpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I have not.
I thought we watched Flashpoint Paradox together. Or maybe that was something else.
Did you see War at least? Like Justice League War? Because that's the first time they kind of meet Darkseid.
With the whole conversation of whether to watch the first of this, I guess this was a twofer or a two-parter. Because watching the second half of this seemed like we should have watched the first half.
Yeah, I never saw the other Justice League Dark, but I don't think they're completely directly connected. I mean, like it might be before this one comes out. That's one of the ones that's kind of missing a hole for me. But the one that's supposed to be kind of before this is going to be Justice League War, and then this is kind of the one after. But they're almost completely separated. It's really odd. I wish they would have put them more together because, to be honest, this is like 16 movies. I mean, this is practically their MCU.
So. Right.
So that makes me a little bit more critical of this movie then, because that was the thing I was going to give it leeway on was like, okay, we saw Endgame to the Infinity War, So in my head, we didn't watch Justice League Dark, the first one, and I assumed like, okay, well maybe that was like Infinity War, and then this very much felt like Endgame because it was pretty much all the aftermath of Darkseid, which I have a lot of questions about for both of you. I saved it, but like I was talking to Vince afterwards, like let's save the questions for the podcast because this was the same thing I felt when me, Vince, and my brother saw Batman v Superman. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't know half of what I watched. Like everything was kind of like, you already know this. I'm like, what if I don't?
Yeah.
I don't know this.
Go ahead.
No, they just leave you with like you have to know Damian Wayne's whole backstory in this movie, or you're not going to know what the hell he's talking about with his mother.
The same thing with Raven. I mean, it's Raven, Constantine, and Damien. I mean, those are like, you're like, what? If you didn't know what was going on, you didn't watch any of the other movies, you'd be like, huh?
Yeah, Raven was the biggest confusing. The whole time, I actually, like, when we finished watching it, I rewound it and rewatched parts of it because I was like, Vince, I think I missed something. I'm like, no, I think I maybe slightly missed because I dozed off for a second. I slightly missed, like, the fight with Lady Shiva. Mm-hmm. But that was it. I was like, oh, where did the thing with the dad thing in the head cut? Like
she was kind of thrown in there too.
Yeah, Lady Shiva. Barely like, hey, this is Lady Shiva. By the way, bye.
She's like, yeah, she's like this master martial artist, and she's like a henchman for Damien in this movie. It was weird.
Oh, also, if we haven't said it yet, big spoiler warning.
Oh yeah.
Not that there's too much to spoil. You can pretty much figure the whole thing out when you start.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into any of this stuff, you kind of know what's going to happen. So.
Well, I mean, just like the plot line, you know, like even when the movie started and it got to a certain number of body count, I looked over Vince, I'm like, so this is a time travel story. He's like, well, maybe not. I'm like, they're just going to kill like Wonder Woman, all these people, and they're just not.
And then just wipe out the timeline again.
Yeah.
I mean, I do agree vibe-wise, it was a really cool movie. Like, I wasn't as angry like with Batman v Superman. Mm-hmm. Like, it's an elevated version of what I call like the background movies, you know, like the Venoms and stuff and Aquaman. The spectacle is great. It very much had the Mortal Kombat vibe. Well, Mortal Kombat, Scorpion Revenge probably had this vibe.
Probably the same studio.
Like, yeah.
I mean, WBC, but
yeah, WB. I think Mortal Kombat was more violent. This one felt a little bit more shocking because I'm not used to seeing all those heroes getting slaughtered.
Yeah. And everyone dies.
And I was even like, man, they didn't. Vince pointed out, he's like, they didn't even like flinch for Cheetah getting like, nobody even mentioned her name.
Yeah, as soon as she died. They did. At one point in time, they mentioned Cheetah. Like they're like, Cheetah's going to take you over here. It was really weird because it's what was that Scorsese film where like everyone dies?
All of them. Which the one with the Italians and they die?
Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson's in it.
As good as it gets.
No, that's
a great movie.
Died in that movie.
Rolls World Tour.
No. But anyway, in that movie, like everybody dies. Like Mark Wahlberg kills a bunch of people. Like
The Departed.
Yes, The Departed. Like De Niro, or not De Niro, DiCaprio. You're like, okay, he's dead. All right, so everyone's just dying. So it's basically, when's this person gonna die? Like, oh, Constantine's gonna. Okay, when's he gonna die now? You know?
Yeah. I figured Constantine's death surprised me until I remembered that he can bring himself back to life. Or he has in the past.
Okay, so let's start with Rod's questions. Hey, I saw, is Keanu Reeves' Constantine movie supposed to be this Constantine?
Yes.
Okay, so that confused me because that was the Constantine I knew. Mm-hmm. This Constantine was basically like Star-Lord mixed with Doctor Strange, only in British. Like he's Doctor Strange, but a little more street.
Yeah.
But he even down to the mandalas and stuff, you know, like with the spells and things. But then, wait, what was the other person you mentioned, Vince? Constantine and
oh, yeah. Who the heck was I just talking about?
You lost me.
Well, okay, so I do remember something about Constantine. So when he died for about 20 seconds. It was a beautiful scene when you found out like his girlfriend kind of like made him leave so that he would be the failsafe for this whole thing.
That was the one thing that kind of caught me off guard. It's like, oh, I get it. Yeah,
it was a nice twist because you remember why it was weird that she said Reb member or something like that at the beginning, you know?
Yeah.
But the way it was kind of like what happened didn't bother me because it was like, oh, that was a cool tie into the beginning that seemed kind of inconsequential. Until now, but the way it was executed made Constantine's death feel like it had no weight, you know? Because there wasn't a tragedy around it. I don't know if there needed to be, but it just like he died, and then as soon as they like, it's my stats coming on screen. He dies, and then like. As soon as you see like somebody looks over at him like, well, that'll be a problem, and then it goes to heaven like, oh, he's gonna Deadpool this, you know? It's like, okay, I mean, I don't know, it was just interesting. But if you're like a fan, like you guys are, like, was that like that's so awesome? Like,
I was just wondering, like, as soon as he died, I was like, well, that's weird. It felt like The Departed because you followed DiCaprio, and then all of a sudden he dies. Like at some point in time in the movie, and you're like, well, I know there's a lot of this movie left. Like, where are we going from here? Like, he's kind of the person that you followed through the movie.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was kind of that's the only one thing that kind of threw me. Like, oh, okay, I get it. Zatanna basically gave him a
spell
of some sort. Whenever she does spells, which is funny at the beginning when she said remember or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Whenever she says spells, they're all like backwards. So if you just read a sentence backwards.
So that's why I was remember. Now that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So see, these are the kind of things I just didn't know. But I guess at the same time, like if you threw somebody in like Endgame, they'd be like, why is the Thor cut off his head and stuff? Like it probably doesn't make sense either. But
right.
Yeah.
The one thing. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. No, you have another one.
What is Darkseid? I know he's supposed to be like DC Thanos.
Yeah.
But I wasn't quite clear. Is he a Borg? Like what?
Is he
Kryptonian?
They kept calling him a new god.
He's one of the new gods. It's basically a comic book that was created. He's one of the new gods, and he's just ultra powerful.
So is he and Raven's father like the same kind of thing?
Raven's father is essentially like Satan, kind of like to the point of like Surtur, from the one movie. Like he's gonna come. When he comes out, he's just gonna destroy everything, and that's what she's trying to like. She's inside. He's inside of her, and so she's just constantly trying to keep him in check.
Okay,
and so
is that a baseline for her character, or is that something special for the series?
That's the base. That's just
she's always had him in there. Okay,
yeah,
that sounds awful.
That's what was tripping me up because I've always remembered Raven with the stone, and then to see Constantine at the end kick the stone off, see her father, and then she turns white. Her whole outfit turns white. I was like, what is going on? I've never seen any of this stuff.
I've seen her turn white in the past. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was when like she was separated from him at some other point in time. So that seems to be a deep cut.
It does bring a really interesting dynamic to the whole thing because something I did catch on to pretty quick. It's pretty obvious. It's not like I'm smart or anything, but like they really played on this romance between Robin and Raven. I just thought about that. It was really funny. It's two birds. But if you
Robin
think about,
and Raven,
not only is it implied that the father is always watching, they straight up just say it. The dad is like, "I'm going to kill that boy," and I'm like. So they're like making out, and you're like, the dad is like right there. He's like right there. He's right there. Like,
ew, gross.
You can smell his breath.
I like when he flips out. He's like, "I'm gonna kill you."
Yeah, it's like the four eyes. Like,
exactly. Oh, sorry, that was my dad.
Oh, speaking of that, I thought that was really funny at the end when Darkseid and what was his name?
Tricon.
That was another like because it sounded like Trigun. Like,
yeah, their names are real hard.
So
it's funny, Edrigan and Trigon, and it's Zatanna, and
they did like the laser beam thing, and then it's like, and you're in the middle tense, like who's going to win the beam more? And then it's like, well, he has four eyes, and that's literally what they did. It's like, it's like, oh, okay, more eyes, more lasers.
You win it when you have more lasers, apparently.
I mean, I don't want to give any impression like I hated it. Like I actually had a lot of fun. I just had a lot of questions.
Yeah, I was at the one point you're like, okay, he's in Superman. Okay, he's out of Superman, but he doesn't have a body. Oh, they release him, and now he has a body. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, sure.
That was weird.
I did like seeing Superman with the kryptonite in his blood. I don't know how that works in universe logic, but it was a cool look and a concept that he's just a normal dude with now green eyes, I guess, because that's how that works. And it gives him the Doctor Strange salt and pepper.
Yeah, I guess he's aging.
At
that point in time. So,
but it was 2 years.
Yeah,
this is what 2 years with a kid.
Of stress.
Well, so Raven's a teenager, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
part of the Teen Titans. Yeah.
So inside, I was kind of laughing. I didn't say it yet because I wanted to clarify. I wanted to make sure myself that's the case because it was like, so he spent 2 years with a teenager and he went gray.
As someone who has a teenager and soon to have two, I understand it.
Yeah.
Truth.
What was the other? So, is this based on like a comic thing, or was this a news story?
Oh gosh, see, I don't follow DC very much, and so all the information it's supposed to be following along with like the New 52 era, And I don't know if I think that ended at some point in time. It's just how many times they reboot the freaking universe in DC. And so in Marvel, you always have the same universe. Sometimes they collide with other ones. So like the 616 is like the main Marvel universe, but there's other ones, and sometimes they interact with each other. Right. But in DC, they've just kind of like restarted things. Like the very first, their whole comics history was getting really kind of convoluted, and that's when they had that big what's the crossover that we just had on the CW? Gosh dang.
If you say Legends of Tomorrow.
It had them included.
Yeah, they were involved.
But
I don't remember the name.
Oh, the Infinite Earth thing.
Yes. Oh gosh, yes.
I didn't watch any of those. I just saw all my friends complaining about it.
They're always called Crisis. So like there's a bunch of these different crossover things called Crisis. Crisis on Infinite Earths, to where like they basically had all these different universes and they destroyed them all and recreated everything. So this is essentially the same thing. Like, oh, well, this universe has been screwed again, so Flash has got to go back and restart it. So,
which doesn't actually work. It just creates another Flashpoint.
Well, it does, but then like, what's going to happen? Could it be? That's why Constantine was like, well, it's got to be better than what we got now. You know.
Speaking of like what they had. Was at the end they had like, what was it, Manhunter, Kara, like some of the Teen Titans, the rest of the Justice League, all like, even Wonder Woman, like Borg-ified, or they're half robots.
Yeah.
So that was my question about Darkseid, was like, he's a new god, but he relies on technology. Like it seemed like there was so much mysticism and magic in the world.
It's kind of mushed together, especially in Apokolips there. They got that super high technology. Basically all the what are those things called? The Demigorgons. I don't know. I get so confused with all this information. But they're basically people. So they just basically convert them into people. And then now they've converted them into like half...
they put Kryptonian blood in them.
Well, they turned them into like half Doomsdays.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
so, like,
the Paradooms. They're really creative with those names.
Paradooms. Well, they were Parademons, and then, the Doom... That thing sounded ridiculous when you first said it. It's like, you don't even have to say that. You could just say they have mixed blood. Like, okay.
I liked how Lex was kind of like the like the pin that kind of kept the proverbial pants on at the point of where they had to go attack with all the Kryptonian weapons. Lex had like a horde of... That's
usually a thing with Lex too, to where like if something bigger comes in, he'll actually help out. But you know, he's supposed to be like so intelligent that usually even behind that, there's even a more like another sinister plot kind of behind him, because he's just so intelligent. But in this one, he kind of almost seemed like a coward, which is kind of weird for his character.
I thought Batman was way underutilized in this as well.
Yeah, it was more based on Constantine and Raven and Superman at that point, you know.
Yeah.
So was there a specific reason that it was Batman that was Darkseid's like direct minion? Oh, it was a strategy? Was that the thing he was trying to tap into?
I'd imagine.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense, because I was like, why not Superman, or why not, like, because he seems like he could have more power on it, because he already got like Wonder Woman and stuff, you know, like.
And I've seen alternate universes where they have had where he has like taken over Superman and like kind of brainwashed him as well. So I don't know. This is just what they chose this time.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, and then Cyborg made sense. Like, I know a little bit about him, but like when he kind of had that appearance at the end, you're like, hello, and you hear the voice and then you see his body parts all spread across. I was like, yeah, I get that checks out to me. Like, that makes sense. He ends up being like the mainframe thing and stuff. And I don't know if,
the boom tube.
No, all these names just don't. I don't know if it's because I didn't grow up with them. They just don't resonate with me.
They're very. So it's really funny. They're very. Angie was making fun of them the other day because the dark side is SEID.
Yeah.
It's like seed.
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse is like, it's really weird. And I was like, it's got to be. I'm like, I'm 99% positive that's a Jack Kirby thing, because he helped create a lot of these things. Like the names are just, they're just off the wall. So
like Marvel, like knockoff stuff. Like,
I don't know if they're not like necessarily knockoff, but like just
the spelling,
because he used to be with Kirby and Stan Lee were like a big thing, and then he went over to DC when they had their kind of like a bout, and created all this amazing stuff over there, and so yeah.
That's so ridiculous. It angered me when I heard Flash say, or somebody said to Flash, like, this was all happening because you went back in time and you couldn't see your or whatever. Mom. Yeah, or you need to go back. Constantine said you need to go back and save your mom.
No, he needs to not save his mom, right? Because they said him saving his mom was the thing that made all this happen.
No, well, what happened is he went back to save his mom.
Yeah.
Screwed it up, and he had to go back again.
And then he fixed it where his mom dies.
But there's nothing that he does when he goes back in time, kind of like the monkey's paw, that doesn't have consequences.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he tries to fix it, and when he goes back to the present, shit changed still.
Yeah.
And then every time he goes to fix it, it'll continuously change because he just keeps continually creating new timelines.
Yeah. It's definitely a thing where like if he goes back in time to save something or change something, usually somebody else dies.
So is it a Back to the Future kind of logic, or is it like an Endgame kind of logic?
No, it's not even. It's neither of those. I mean, well, I guess it would be more like a Back to the Future thing. But the thing is,
there's a consequence.
Like, if he goes back in time and changes anything, it's kind of like the overall idea in some movies that make magic. If you use magic, you're going to be giving up something. You know, like. So it's.
Well, I guess I mean like
travel.
Like in Back to the Future, there's basically like one timeline. And if you mess with something in the past, then it affects the future.
Yes, absolutely.
But in like Endgame, it just makes a different timeline.
Future.
So
this is like Back to the Future kind of issue. Okay. But so there's an overseeing, like the Speed Force is overseeing as well. So like that's why I say it's kind of like when you do something one way to like help yourself out, you're gonna the Speed Force is gonna be like, well, let me jumble this stuff up for you, kind of deal. So.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that really pissed me off when I figured out all that was like all because of Flashpoint. I'm like, oh man, this is just another one of those things where I think at that point I had a scary feeling that the end was going to turn out the way it did, because I didn't want it to just be wiped out. Even Rod was like, oh, what? So everything's just like, what was the point of this movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I asked. I was like, the movie had no consequences.
Yeah.
Like just watch people die.
Nothing changed. Like they should have, like the way I know, if I was actually in the situation, like whatever, like you might not be thinking and stuff. But when you're watching it, you're like, the moment they got flashback, why not just like, hey, dude, fix this now? Like, they went through a whole third act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was to an outsider, it's kind of like, sure, we got to see a bunch of cool stuff, so that was fine. But there wasn't like not anything to spoil. Like I don't think if you watch this, you're like, okay, I know what this is gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you the idea of like them just being able to go back in time, but that's why Flash at the end is like, I promised, my girl that I wouldn't go back and do that. I would promised Iris I wouldn't do that, but like he knows kind of like, well, we're all screwed with all this stuff. I'm gonna go back. It's very similar to, the feeling of like everyone's just dying left and right, and you're like, well, this just feels weird. After like a couple of people die, you're like, these are starting not to have any kind of effect.
Yeah.
In the new X-Men comics series, they have created a way to download your consciousness, like, and they'd give you like a download every week into like Xavier's brain, and so when they go off to fight these battles, they're just pretty much like fighting like brute force until they all die to get it done, and then they can be reborn, which is weird to me because it brings that whole idea of if you replace every part of the ship, like you have an old ship and you replace every part of it, eventually it's not the same ship.
Yeah.
To where like these people aren't the same people, even though they're clones. Like it's just that's the kind of feeling in my brain. So like, we're just going to murder off all these people. You're not going to have any feeling. There's no stakes. That's how it felt to me. Like after you killed off like steak, but after a while you just kill off so many people and you're like, this just feels weird.
It was mainly that we were killing so many people and no one was reacting.
Yes.
And maybe one or two of them. I feel like the times that they did react was supposed to be a signal to the audience of like, you're supposed to care about that. Like when Constantine died, they made a little bit more of a deal about it. A little bit. Like they acknowledged he died. I feel like at that point, if they wanted me to know how important it was, the world should have crumbled around them. They'd be like, "Oh no, he brought us here. He's dead." And we're not.
Yeah.
But like everybody else was just like they were just like falling off, and then they kept going. They're like, "Okay," and then Constantine died, and we're like, "Well, by then, I know it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when Edrigan died or whatever, it was kind of weird. Like he's like, "Yay!" He like falls off the edge. Like, "Oh, I had a good time."
Was he the dragon guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was the biggest disappointment to me, man. Because the dude has like ridiculous strength. He could have been more useful.
I love and it's funny because he died, and then that like right after he died, Constantine's like, "Well, let's get everybody back on the same team," and he changes like Wonder Woman, like erases her brain to where she's back to normal. It's like, why didn't you do that to everybody right then and there?
Right. There's so much crap.
When he used the lasso thing.
Yeah, he used the lasso thing to get her back, and then later he just uses whatever magic he's got to get Cyborg back. Like, it was kind of, why didn't you just do that to the team right then and there, you know? Like,
I thought that's what he was going to do once he got the lasso. I thought he was like, you want to do the honors? And I thought that meant she was going to use the lasso to bring the truth out. And that kind of would have checked out for me.
Yeah.
And then she just started whipping ass. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought, too. I thought, okay, so she's going to use this lasso somehow magic powers to get everybody back out of, their brainwashing, but whatever.
And some DC fans are going to hate me for this question, but are half of the superheroes just sorcerers?
Which ones do you think are sorcerers?
The girlfriend of the beginning, Constantine,
Zatanna,
Raven. Who else? It just seemed like everybody, like the Zatanna. Like, I didn't know what her thing was.
I'm gonna change my light.
But they were talking like just like casually, like, oh, we needed the spell thing. I'm like, okay, so or like, is there a differentiation between them, or are they just all kind of like sorcerers? Like,
they're all kind of like sorcerers, but you see, Constantine's a little bit more like dark arts kind of deal.
Okay,
and the other ones kind of are like more just mystic kind of. There's Zatanna is kind of like Doctor Strange, and she's even got. I don't know if it's technically her father in this universe or not, but there's another guy. Gosh, Zatanna's father. There you go. Is Dr. Fate. There you go.
Oh,
and so he's very similar to Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
And then so you have those two. Zatanna is funny because she always looks like she has the magicians, like she's a magician's helper. She has like the tux. She has the tux and the top hat and like the leggings. And in this one, she didn't have very much of that. But
I will say I kind of dug the Suicide Squad in this movie.
Yeah,
I thought they were really fun. Like Harley, they just know how to do her now. Like in every iteration, she seems great. Like every cartoon, every movie or whatever. Is King Shark always just Groot? But a shark?
Yeah, I don't know. I know that he's less intelligent, I guess. But I'm not sure if he's always like, I am King Shark, like I am Groot kind of deal.
That was the funniest part.
Then
just having him talk at the end.
And he used to also bone Constantine. Was that something we were learning in this movie?
Yeah, apparently that's something. I don't know.
So I looked that up. And I don't know if I, obviously I didn't like check a bunch of sources and see if it was true or not, but the things I read all pointed to the writer added it in just for fun.
Yeah.
I took it as, because I don't know the Constantine character from the comic books. The only one I know is Keanu Reeves. Mm-hmm. I kind of took it as like, he's just kind of like Pan, he's like, whatever, pleasure, kind of thing, because he smokes and drinks and I would checked out,
I would totally believe that anyway.
Yeah.
But
it was a funny. I thought it was a pretty funny nod because like the fact that the shark was the one that like winked back, like just, like it wasn't Constantine being like, hey, the shark's like, hey, like he's like still
so weird.
Like he's the one that's kind of like, you here for me, like that.
Like the fact that it's a shark, that's just.
That was pretty funny.
I love how it's Raven who is like making fun of Constantine when she has her father inside of her.
Mm.
Well, and then this might be a little cold, but they had that scene where also if you're at all triggered by like self-harm, maybe not the movie, because there's a portion where Raven, like they show her like attempting to take her own life. Mm. It's very short and it's not graphic at all. She gets stopped or whatever, but it felt justified. I'm not saying that anybody should kill themselves, but like in this case, she had like this demon father stuck in her head that could get out at any moment. Mm-hmm. And then he clearly said, if you die, I'll be stuck here forever. And if you're a superhero, You know, right, I mean, like, it just kind of all checks out. It's like, okay, but then at the end, they prove that you could just be put in an orb. And then I didn't know the history between that dude, the Trigun, and Darkseid. Mm-hmm. It was another one of those. Why didn't you start at the beginning with that? Like, why don't we just send him over to Darkseid and let them go to their own universe? Because he seemed to really like that. He like, it sounded like they debriefed him, like, we're going to send you and Darkseid to this alternate universe thing where you'll be stuck forever, or black hole or something.
I don't know if they've ever fought in the comics, but it's definitely like it definitely has a feel of like Thor Ragnarok, to where they're like, oh, hey, we're just going to set loose this, crazy power against this crazy power, and we're gonna jet. See you later. But yeah,
gotcha.
I did like how that scene played out, where it was.
There's a lot of big voice actors in this one.
Yeah, I saw Rosario Dawson, but I didn't see who she was.
She's probably Wonder Woman.
It's probably. Oh, you know what? I do like there was that point where Trigun looks over at whoever it was, and he's like, oh, looked at his daughter and says, like, this is a great gift. This is the best gift, daughter.
That's why it sounded like they had like debriefed,
I don't know. It's such a weird thing. He's really a lot like Surtur, to where like he's just going to destroy the world. And I don't understand, like, okay, so he's far off on Apokolips. When he's done with that crap, he's not going to come back. But I guess they blew him up because they blew up Apokolips. He's a more like demon magical thing. Well, I don't get it.
To my understanding, they sent him in Apokolips and everything to like something else. They sent a one-way thing to nowhere or something like that. Like
maybe, yeah.
They said there was no destination.
Maybe like to the end of time or something.
Maybe they got trapped in the Speed Force.
Here's a blast from the past. Superman was voiced by Jerry O'Connell.
I think he's the same dude. Like a lot of these guys, a lot of these movies have the same people in it. Batman's always the same for these set of movies.
Yeah, Jerry was he was big in like the 90s.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah, Stand By Me and like.
Gosh, he was in this awesome. Well, Sliders. I loved Sliders.
Oh, that dude. He was in. Wasn't he also in like Adventures of Lois and Clark or something?
No. If he was, it was just like for a very small period of time.
Actually, speaking of Lois, she was pretty badass in this movie.
Yeah, well, she's usually pretty that. She's usually like take charge kind of person, which is kind of weird. They tried to make her that with Amy Adams in The Man of Steel, but she just didn't come off the same way.
Yeah, I feel you.
Oh, Lois and Clark was the other guy.
What was the other guy?
I can't remember his name. I think he made an appearance in this, like Dean Cain.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
He's in Supergirl as Supergirl's dad.
I love all the fan service stuff. Stuff they throw in just for us. Like the right before they leave, I think it's third act, Lois looks at Clark and is like, I'll see you soon, Smallville. Mm-hmm. Or something like that. Like all these little nods to the universe, those are always appreciated.
Yeah. They did a really good job. I mean, it was fun. I really wish they would have kind of presented this whole series as something like this. And I didn't even know that it was going to culminate like this, but what might have been better if they made this a 2-part. Maybe they still will. I don't know.
That blows my mind that this wasn't a part of something, because I felt like I had just missed a film.
Yeah. The way it just drops in too, like there's no recap or anything. You're just off and running right from the gate.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like I felt like I was missing another film.
I mean, it could be like the Infinity War. They could make one after this,
Yeah.
Infinity War where everyone dies or supposedly dies, and
and we see the reset timeline.
Yeah,
I can't be too critical of that because it sounds like that's what Mortal Kombat's doing. We're gonna find out in 2 days.
Exciting.
There's still so much to unpack. Like they tried to really give you a wide span of the character development within the whatever 2 hours it was, and Damien's. Well, I think was the most you were led in to believe, or led in to know, because like I said earlier on, you need to know his background even to just understand what that whole conversation was about, and when they popped into the castle, and why he was dressed all the way he was, and why Shiva was there. Like, there's so many unanswered questions to all that.
Yeah. Well, he went back to the League of Shadows. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess he's part of League of Shadows or League of Assassins.
Yeah, well, same thing.
Okay, yeah.
But
and then the talk of
where
Lazarus.
He was raised there.
Okay.
With Raish and his mom. So
Talia.
Yeah.
Talia.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's where he raised, and then like at some point in time, he was kind of given to Batman, and I think it was supposed to be like it was supposed to be like
his father.
He is. And it's supposed to be kind of like a almost infiltration kind of thing, but Batman kind of turns around and gives him kind of a different perspective. Wonder if you guys are frozen, and we should be recording.
Because I think you were saying something.
I don't remember what it'd be.
It was me.
Oh, I thought Josh was talking about something.
So the whole deal with Damian and his mom and being Batman's son, and the biggest question for me was actually that Damian had mentioned something about his, or maybe it wasn't, but it was Batman said something about his mother forced her on
drugged.
him, drugged. That's why they had the kid. Like, was that all? Did that all happen?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
I watched Son of Batman. That's another one of these movies.
Yeah.
It'll tell you a lot about that. I think didn't it happen in the first movie, the Batman Begins? I think you meet Talon.
Oh.
I mean, doesn't she like sleep with him?
Yeah, that's right. I do remember that.
I don't remember. Did she drug him though?
The Christopher Nolan.
Not in the Christopher Nolan movie, but yeah. I don't think they had Damian. Damian he's a relatively new character. He's probably like 6 years old.
Yeah, I do like that he carries a katana.
Oh yeah. He's pretty BA. The one thing that I don't like about these movies is when you see some of these, Batman versus Damian kind of stuff in the Son of Batman movie. It's like Damian can hold his own. Mm-hmm. You're like, did you know you're just so much stronger? He could just be like, whap, and like a kid would like just fly across, like just because he's just bigger.
Yeah,
like the weight proportions, it's very like anime-ish, to where like this little
everything
girl could kick the same as this giant, enormous man. Like
this every like maybe like 5 or 10 minutes, there was like an anime mannerism that happened from somebody. Like there was one point like Vince was like, "Did Batman just grumble?" I'm like, "Yeah," like total like anime. Like somebody was like, "Oh, you can't believe that happened." Oh, jeez. Like
yeah, it was like he did that a few times.
It's really weird. I looked it up. Damian's actually his first appearance was in 1987. Okay. So holy crap, I never knew about him growing up. I haven't heard about him until I started seeing him in like New 52 stuff. So
it wasn't until Titans that I heard about Damian.
Yeah.
Or Teen Titans.
I mean, there's so many freaking Robins. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
Well, that and like the whole Lazarus pit and being used on Nightwing, and how it brought him back, but it didn't really bring him back, and how we've seen that happen before, but then we've seen it work before too.
If it's close to death, you're okay. You're still going to be a little weird, especially when you first wake up. But
if you're dead,
if you're close to death, you're good. But if you've been dead and you get tossed in there, you're just nuts. Like you're just a crazy person in your body.
You just come back as a shell with some zombie.
That seemed like another like inconsequential thing that happened. Mm-hmm. Like it didn't feel like it did anything in the story.
Yeah, it was just to like help Damian with his deal with his brother dying. It had nothing to do with the plot or anything.
Yeah.
Because I was waiting for that to come back, like, oh, they're going to bring that guy back now. And then at the end, I was like, Vince, who's the guy in the straitjacket? Like, oh, he was from the other part. I'm like, yeah.
He's the Robin that you remember, Dick Grayson.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I assume that because they kept calling him Dick. I'm assuming they're just not being mean.
That's like that Batman movie. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Kids are terrible.
It was kind of cool to see little bits and pieces of Batgirl and Batwoman.
Literally just a bit. Like her hair. Like Batwoman's hair, and then she got blown away.
That's the same thing to where like they're just getting slaughtered, and you're like, well,
Superboy
doesn't even feel right, like,
man, everybody got slaughtered. Even all the Teen Titans before they got turned into Borg.
So Vince pointed out Has Swamp Thing always been like a god, basically?
Yeah, because he was super BA in this movie.
Because like you take like the power balance. So in like the Mortal Kombat video games, the patch updates are 90% like balancing powers because they don't want one character just be able to like slap you across the screen and then you win.
Yeah.
So this one was like they have like the entire team, or like 1/3 of the team fighting, and then these Paradooms are just like done.
Yeah, they're just shredding people.
And then Swamp Thing's just like and then they're all dead.
Yeah.
Well, I think with him too, like nobody was around that tower, so like he got the first kind of destroy part of it. But
was that in his swamp and he happened to be there, or did he summon him from just like the earth in general?
I'm guessing
he just knew he was there somehow.
He happened to know him there, and he's like, well, I'm gonna go over there and he'll want to kill me.
Because I was like, what an interesting thing that like Swamp Thing just so happened to be at the one unguarded tower. You know?
I feel like funny with Swamp Thing, it's kind of like the Hulk, to where like sometimes he can be a lot smarter than normal, and other times he's just like a force of nature. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I feel like Constantine was like a what is the Mary Lou again? Is that the thing where you just Sue? Like Mary Sue? You just fill it in whatever you need.
Well, that was he's more of a MacGuffin than a Mary Sue.
There you go, MacGuffin.
Mary Sue would be like Wonder Woman blinking and everything. Just I feel like
I was like Flash.
There would be no character development with a Mary Sue. And they're just kind of given all the powers they need, no matter what.
So he's more of a MacGuffin.
Yeah, I guess.
Because he was literally like, you need that? Oh yeah, get Constantine. He'll do that.
Yeah.
They gave him powers I don't even think he has.
So I guess what I was supposed to accept was that Raven didn't know the locator spell.
Oh yeah, they both say the same spell.
But I was trying to differentiate Constantine from Raven, and they seem to do very similar things throughout the entire movie. But that was also just my one view of those two, so I don't know.
I think Constantine has a lot more spells to do other things, and especially to do with, death and the afterlife and other things like that. Raven, I feel like, has a really specific skill set to where, basically all the black matter stuff that you can see is kind of like her controlling stuff in the air.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they had to find
teleportation at the same time.
And then they had to find Damien because he was the one that emotionally was going to be able to reach Batman. Was that the idea?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
And it worked. It works.
Yeah, Batman came around.
There's a lot of like, this is going to happen because it's going to happen, and like they run into all these things along the line. They're like, oh crap, we didn't think about this, and like
yeah, it's like, but the audience did.
Yeah,
exactly. Cyborg's there, the Furies are there. It's just like, okay.
Oh
yeah, that's right.
I love how it's always reinforced that Captain Boomerang's powers that he's Australian. Like, because he really didn't do anything in this movie,
and that he drinks beer.
And then in that one scene where they kind of gave him a moment, it was just him and Constantine going back and forth about being British and Australian.
Yeah.
There was one moment I was proud of myself for figuring out on my own without knowing context. I thought it was funny that they were showing everybody getting their weapons ready, and then Killer Shark or King Shark was like eating something. He's like spraying his mouth, and I was like, "What is he spraying in his mouth?" And I was like, "Oh my god, it's kryptonite!" Because everybody else has kryptonite weapons. He's spraying his teeth so he can go bite things because he's a shark Groot.
He was like the most gory character of the whole thing, especially when he ate those people in the truck.
I was just gonna chalk it up to wackiness because they're like, oh, he's dead, and they had Harley play a dead person when they had dead bodies, and it was a whole like thing. I don't know. It's interesting.
Who was it? Constantine's like, can we just pass?
Yeah.
Because there's dead pieces everywhere.
And we just accept the guards are stupid.
Yeah. They're like, whatever. And they go through. There's one point where you see Starfire, and she's just ripped in half, and one part's over here, and the other part's over there, and you just see her intestines.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, jeez.
You know what's so funny about that is I forget what time frame it was, but there was that DC versus Mortal Kombat game that came out.
Yeah.
And the Injustice games. And I remember the whole thing was DC was like, you cannot have fatalities in this game. And NetherRealm's like, it's Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, saying like...
That's what we do.
Yeah, like it's like, I don't know if like Rick and Morty, like they had to be sober and not have ray guns, like what... So they couldn't have fatalities, and their whole thinking was like, we don't want kids to see these characters like brutalized. And then I'm watching this movie. I'm like, at some point they either gave up on that idea or they were just full of shit. Because like you said, like I see all these characters just laying there with their guts out. Like I saw, was it Black Manta?
Yeah,
I saw him get ripped in half the way that Goro does in like Mortal Kombat games. He's like, like
that was crazy.
I think it's because these are movies. I think these are like R-rated, aren't they?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so,
but the thing is, like, if you have a game DC versus Mortal Kombat, you're just going to assume that's a mature rating because there's Mortal Kombat in it, you know, and stuff. And it was like, well, you can't have it without the fatality, but they did it like that, you know. I mean, they obviously changed a little bit because Joker's in this new one, but but this was like, is not only it happens a little bit. Pretty much every character gets a fatality in this movie, except for like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, maybe.
Yeah.
Like Lady Shiva gets
Wonder Woman gets shredded at the beginning.
Yeah, she loses her arm.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There's a lot of people who lose limbs in this one. It's funny.
It's Shazam.
Oh yeah, Shazam.
Leg.
Man, he got tore up twice.
I feel so bad for him when he went down the second time. Like, he didn't lose his leg to survive just to have this happen.
Like, everybody's going into this like, oh, it's a suicide mission. You're all gonna die. And like, I guess I might as well. Like,
man,
I just feel like there was a smarter way of going about it. Like, if like, let's say like if the Justice League and the Avengers were like in the same universe somehow, the Avengers were kind of like the smart friend in your group, your school project, you know, that was like, let's figure out how to move this rock, you know, and stuff, that this boulder. And then Justice League was like the bully. There's like, let's just fucking punch it until like it moves, you know. It's like, okay. You know, like,
I kind of wondered, like, they just like ripped apart Oa. I'm like, dude, I don't know. You figure like all the Green Lanterns come together, you go to Oa, and Darkseid probably wouldn't win. But I don't know.
That's what I was trying. That's why I was like, what is Darkseid that he just shows up by himself and just did, like, why didn't you do that earlier? Just demolish the whole planet by himself.
He is super freaking powerful, and so he's supposedly more powerful than Thanos, which in Thanos, even in the movie, the Endgame movie, he's nowhere near as powerful as he should be from the comics. So Darkseid's more powerful than him. It's just, I don't know, like, you actually go into Oa, and then on top of it, it's not just, you don't just have the Green Lantern Corps. You know, you got the Blue Lanterns, Pink Lanterns, Red Lanterns, you know. Why wouldn't they all just come together to, like, I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me. But, again, it was still a fun movie. It was cool to see it.
No, it was great. I think it was a lot of fun. It just didn't matter that it happened.
Exactly. Like, I watched this movie and it doesn't matter. Well, it's kind of like, you know, Infinity War, where like, oh, everybody dies.
I guess that's the thing that I was trying to give it like some slack for, was I didn't see the however many other movies I needed to see. But from what you were saying, it sounds like they barely connected to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't see the last Dark movie. I don't think it's necessarily like a 1 and 2 though. I think that was more like, this is Justice League, but we're adding all of the dark characters, like Raven was added in this, and then you got, which brings in the Trigon character as well, which is like, you know, the Satan-esque character. Then you got Constantine and Zatanna. They're all like the dark arts, and so hence the Justice League Dark. I think Deadman's in it too, so I don't know.
Yeah, it was just an interesting timeline to you know, see the whole thing play out. It was crazy. Those things broke me though. Like the first time Flash was told that this is because of the Flashpoint, and then at the end when he goes back to save his mom, like those are two things that I was like really mad about. But other than that, I liked the action, I liked the gore, I liked the stupidness of Killer Shark, and you know, the snarkiness of Lois, and that whole scene with the fighting in the ring and all that with Harley. But I don't know. I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I probably would rate this in the middle, maybe like a 5.
It's crazy because like all the Rotten Tomatoes and stuff is like at 100%.
I've seen some pretty dope DC movies comparatively
of what the ratings like headlines are. Let me take a look. I want to know if like other people saw the same thing I did, or if most people watching are like in the MCU, like you highly recommended that you don't watch, you know, Endgame without Infinity War without at least like a handful of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Um,
well, I'm pulling up I got Rotten Tomatoes is at 100% and 91%. The 100% of the tomato meter only has 12 people, but the audience score is 91% and it's got 557. As for Google Play, it's got 160 people and it's got 4.5 stars. We got Amazon's got 175 people and it's 4.5 stars. So, I mean, their movies are great. They're definitely entertaining. I would love to watch the rest of them if I had, $1 million and
need some more stimulus money.
Let's see. See, this is interesting. I feel like I didn't watch the same movie. Like this person said, like with so many twists and surprises, the final outing. Mm-hmm. Twists and surprises for this movie as the final outing of this. Gotcha. I think what the thing sounds like that there is a set of films and this is the last one. Mm-hmm. It sounds like they're saying this has a lot of twists and surprises. So maybe like all the murdering and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Everybody's dying off as opposed to like the other movies. So
yeah. Well, I'll have to watch the rest of the Dark series or the other movies.
There's a 2-star review. It's like didn't care for this.
Yeah, there's a few of those I saw.
I mean, most of them, it says like best DC animated movie yet. Awesome, really dark. Mm-hmm. But the bad ones, okay, here's one that's actually like, let's see what this says. 1 star because of the ending. 1 star because last 7 to 8 years I've invested in this version of the DC animated universe. Now it seems like a waste of time. They hit the reset button in the laziest, most infuriating way. I love these stories, and I was enjoying this story up until the end. I loved Phil Broussard's character designs. Okay, yeah. I love the way they took the aspects of New 52, sprinkled in some pre-52 stories, made a universe that far surpassed that of the live-action DCU. I will give it that. It was better than the live-action.
True.
I love these so much. Oh.
Speaking of, we got... I don't know if they waited for this to release this because of the Apokolips War thing, maybe on its heels, but obviously the Justice League Snyder Cut is real, which I didn't think it was real. I was like, yeah, no way.
Well, it sounds like they're going to just basically be filming it.
Well, they were given according to
like
Hollywood
20 million
reporters, yeah, he was given an additional 20 to 30 million. But another thing that I read said that there was not going to be any reshoots. So this is
he's just getting paid to recut it.
Basically, paid to recut and maybe to do some additional.
Huh, that's wild because the thing I said that they were going to pull in like a bunch of reshoots once stuff opened back up again because they're going to have a bunch of cameos of stuff that he never got to shoot.
Huh.
That'd be
cool. I saw one critic put in here. I don't know. They probably won't do it, but she said the thing that would win everybody over though is if they just had Henry Cavill come back as Superman and just rock the mustache, just open it up, and be like, "Hey, this is me now." But like as a Clark Kent, not Superman necessarily, just like have it in there
and hire a color correction person.
Yeah. Well, it's really weird because Superman 2 was a little bit similar. Like Richard Donner had shot the entire Superman 1, and then at the same time that he was shooting Superman 1, they were shooting Superman 2. And then he was over halfway done with that movie, and then they decided to get a different director. Which is crazy because Superman 1 is huge. I don't know the whole story behind that, but I do own the Richard Donner version of Superman 2, which is weird. Like there's a bunch of scenes that were kind of taken from the original just to finish. Like the original Superman 2 that was redone, and they kind of added on there just to finish the Superman 2 because there's obviously going to be some parts missing.
Weird.
But they took all the stuff that he shot for Superman 2 and made a second Superman movie. Second Superman 2 movie.
So that was the other thing I saw about this is it's not going to be one movie. It's going to be 30-minute episodes.
What?
This minute 6 to 8, 30-some-odd minute episodes, I think. I think 6, they said. It's going to be 6 episodes.
Wow.
Which would make sense because they said it's going to be like over 3 hours long or something like that.
That's weird.
I'm in.
So they said...
Where'd you see that from? Like, what was the website?
I think it was beyond the trailer. Let's see here.
I haven't heard any of the
or here,
anything about 30-minute episodes.
Justice League Snyder Cut 30. Let's see episodes. Episodes.
To me, it's just amazing that like they would actually
Oh, six episodes on HBO.
Yeah, because it's going to HBO Max. But
so
it's just insane to me to think that like they would actually put money into this. Like it failed so miserably. Like why would you go back to put money back into it? Like I understand there's like a groundswell of like a certain very vocal crowd base, but like it's not a very extremely large crowd base.
I saw some of the inside talk was that it was kind of like Warner kind of reestablished like putting like the olive branch out to like the directors again, because they like someone pointed out like Zack Snyder having a public statement saying that Warner Brothers is a filmmaker as a director's studio or something like that is worth $20 million of an endorsement.
All right.
And I guess it's a fairly small budget for like they said like The Mandalorian was like 100. What was it? There was another show. Oh, it was Netflix puts $100 million into each property or something like on average.
Yeah, but those are like 10 shows usually, 10 1-hour shows.
So I guess the thing is like this time it'll be like also a series, and so I think I mean I didn't hear this, but it makes sense to me that it's like a way to like keep people signed up to HBO now or Max or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely something after Game of Thrones, but I don't feel like it's enough. What else? They got some good shows, just not. Yeah, but they're gonna go away after it's over. Are they gonna release it once a week? Are they gonna do a Disney where like once a week, every 30 minutes? That sounds a little weird to me.
So it's an Hollywood reporter reported that it will be 4 hours when it's completed.
Whoa!
So it'll be split into 6 TV style chapters.
Cool.
It hasn't been announced if they're going to be released all at once or not, but they said that they can't imagine that they would release them all at once because it'd be pointless to make them to episodes.
Exactly.
At that point, but
they'd want people to hold on for more than 1 week.
What if they could span that the whole month? Then they can get people to re-sign up for that last episode.
So there was a cheat. There was a thing that Zack Snyder had mentioned that I forget where I read it, that he promised that there would be a cameo in here that was supposed to be in it but wasn't. And the way I read it, it sounded like it's something that wasn't filmed. They didn't even get the green light from the studio to do it in the begin with. That he's going to do in this one, but I guess that could be pretty easy. Like have somebody walk in a green screen and just like throw it in. But I don't know what
it was Alf.
It would be.
Yeah.
I
mean, I don't
know.
He's not a bad director. I just feel like all of his movies has that same like dark sheen. Like it's all this like it's almost. Did he do Sin City? Because I feel like he did Sin City.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, because it all has that kind of like feel to it. It's all dark. It's all weird. It's almost like got a computer animated background for everything. Like it just has that feeling to it. Like 300, and it just feels all the same to me.
So the quote from Zack Snyder said that he only got to film 1/4 of what he wanted. So I guess that's where the implication is they're going to do more.
I thought that he'd filmed a lot more than that. I thought that was basically just Whedon coming in and being like, "Oh, well, let me finish this up for you."
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
we knew a lot more reshoots than he did.
I'll probably check it out, or at least maybe even just wait for a few reviews or something and then check it out.
Well, I'll definitely see it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to subscribe to HBO whatever for 6 weeks to wait for 30-minute episodes. I'll wait till the 6 weeks is over and then I'll watch it once.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I don't know if I could sit through 4 hours of that.
It would be annoying though. Like, okay, well, I'm gonna watch 30 minutes of it at a time. It's a movie. Whether or not he made it like, he's gonna chop it up into like 6
episodes
or so, 30 to hour long, whatever. I don't care. I don't care how much new stuff's involved in it. It's still a movie. It's just weird to me. It's really weird what they're doing. It'd almost be better if he just redid it, like reshot it.
Dang, yeah.
It sounds like, I mean, that's going to be kind of in between there, like between a complete like reshoot and because I mean, obviously for $20 million,
$20 million,
yeah, 20 million, you're not going to get Gal Gadot back to do, like
exactly.
I don't know. I mean, so I guess in the announcement it was on Vero and Henry Cavill was in there. I didn't know that him and Zack Snyder, I guess, had a falling out, and so that was kind of like their like we've made up thing. But he also had like the biggest mustache in the stream when they did the announcement. He was just sitting there in a wife beater and like has a big
tarnation.
What in tarnation?
So some people took that as a hint of like the reshoots are going to be with Superman.
I mean, that would make a lot of sense because, you know, it would have been nice to have more like what we were talking about earlier with like brainwashed apocalypse-ish kind of Superman.
Yeah.
Where he's in the black outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he poops everywhere. Oh, that's a different universe.
That was something else. They said that they wanted to put a lot of this into a budget to like visual effects. So I'm going to guess
20 to 30 million is not going to go very far.
Yeah, but I'm guessing that means
sparklers.
I'm going to guess that means that's scenes that weren't finished that were in Snyder's cut.
Yeah.
To like finish. So I'm going to assume that they weren't. Not all of them were just completely not done.
I am, like we said before, just intrigued to see what it'll be overall.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already shown interest. Obviously, we're still talking about it, but
this is confirmation that they're going to do reshoots. It's from Ray Fisher because he played Cyborg.
Mm-hmm.
Said Snyder spent April reaching out to the cast, giving them a heads up that their services may be needed. Ray Fisher comments, "You're kidding me, right?" So sounds like they called up the cast to do. I don't know what that means. Like if it's more just green screen stuff, voisover, or like
just
they're going to go.
Reminds me of that Simpsons episode where the kid's just crying like, "Stop! It's already dead." You know, like, just move on. Like I don't understand it. Warner Brothers is. I have no idea what their problem is. They obviously have a good movies for the animated. Why can't we do something like that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, this might be backtracking too much, but I had another question about Flash.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So in the Flash's things that I'd seen in the past, there was a little bit of reality in it. Like he has to eat a lot. Like when they show him eating because he has high metabolism and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not just that he's like a god. He still adheres to like human biology. He just can like extend them to like a max, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
So-
they pull in some aspects of that, yeah.
So in this movie, he ran for 2 years straight.
Yeah.
And he was emaciated. You saw that. Wouldn't he be dead after like a day? Or like after 2 years, would he like not be functioning? Or like they didn't quite like... I didn't understand that just based on my previous knowledge of the Flash, but I don't know if like this version is just immortal.
Yeah.
No, they just skip right over all that.
I don't understand also the Flash versus the Paradooms. Like, how on earth would they take the Flash? He's just at some point in time,
right.
he's faster. He's like 11 times faster than the speed of light. How on earth can they grab him?
He's so fast he can reset time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is the most, to me, like that's the most powerful thing. Like if you can go back, if you're so fast you can go back in time, and you're so fast that you're like 11 times faster than the speed of light, nothing should be able to touch you. That's just me. But
so yeah, that happened, and I feel like visually that could have been like a really easy fix. Like if because they showed the thing in the back of his head.
Yeah.
If they showed like I don't know, like a feeding
like
tube,
feeding
and
into the back of his
something.
head.
See steak just falling out of the tube when they pull it out.
I feel
They
like
put the steak on the end of this treadmill.
I feel like if they just would have had like a bunch of tubes coming out of him while he's running,
Yeah.
that
That
could have been
makes
the
more sense, right?
easy visual answer. Something's doing something there to make it work, you know?
Right.
But
It's
this
really
was-
funny though because the treadmill is it's hilarious because in the comics how he goes back in time is he has to use the treadmill to go back in time,
Oh,
and so it's just I don't know if maybe the New 52 got rid of that.
Well, it was after the first Flashpoint. Remember, he comes back and a whole different room was in Star Labs
Yes.
where they had the loop for him to run in to create the thing instead of the treadmill.
Yeah. It's
So
the cosmic treadmill.
Yeah, the cosmic treadmill. Yeah.
oh, that was another thing. So Flash, but also connected back to Snyder Cut.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess there's this big question of Ezra Miller.
Oh, please
Ezra.
don't.
Of like, well, because if they're doing the Snyder Cut, will he be part of like the revamp? Because
And then will that give that more umph to get a Flash movie out of it?
well, they were just saying because of him, because he's a public like the thing right now, he allegedly beat up some girl in a bar, like you know stuff like that, and like also like the fans don't like him and things, but they've just kind of been quiet about him as the Flash.
Yeah, I see that come and go all the time. to where like, oh, the Flash is dead, like DOA, like yay, I'm happy with it. And then they're like, hey, Ezra Miller's talking about having a new director for the Flash, and I'm like, why? Nobody liked him as the Flash. Absolutely nobody that I talked to was like, he's the greatest Flash I've ever seen. Like, not only is he not the Flash, he's not Barry Allen. Like, if he was a really awkward Wally West, I'd be like, okay, fine. But like, he's supposed to be Barry Allen.
He's not a Jay Garrick either.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was another thing with the casting thing. I guess there's been news coming back that Rob Pattinson's like having a very hard time bulking up for Batman.
It's funny.
Which I feel like isn't a surprise, but at the same time, they're halfway through filming.
Yeah.
Like we've been seeing on, so it's like, so someone pointed out like, either that means this filming is going to be just like a train wreck.
That's I don't know, man. I'm seeing that from Cosmic Book News. Please don't. If anybody's listening, don't go to Cosmic Book.
No, this
News.
is also from Grace Randolph and stuff. So she's on set for a lot of these things.
And Robert Pattinson. It's also come from We Got This Covered. I don't.
Well, also it came from him himself. Like he tweeted out something about like how he's not going to spend the quarantine like working out or whatever because he said James Dean didn't do that, and we're like, James Dean also wasn't Batman.
Yeah,
a whole different thing.
I mean, she could be like muscular. That's fine. I don't care.
He said something to the effect of like, I should be able to eat donuts and still be Batman. They're like, no. Unless it's a very different Batman. If you're Will Arnett, you can.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. It's like somebody's gonna like, I don't know.
I love
if like Arnold Schwarzenegger was gonna be in like Last Action Hero, and he's like, I shouldn't have to work out, and we're like, that's why we hired you.
Yeah,
the character is like this jacked, like that's
this person.
So like that's
I'm
further
for more of an all-inclusive body types Batman.
Well, see, that's the thing. Is somebody pointed out that either it's going to be a train wreck of filming, or this Batman is not like a superhero Batman. He's a detective. And so we won't see action. We'll just see mystery.
I also thought this was only a second year Batman. So why does he need to be like, why does he need to be all crazy huge if he's only like a second year?
Well, he doesn't necessarily have to be. He has to be somewhat fit.
Yeah, because isn't the backstory of Batman is he gets trained, right? A lot of times he's in training before he becomes Batman.
Yeah, depending on the story, it could be Raish training him. But yeah, if Raish did train him, he would be freaking jacked. So,
but especially though, because like you think because Batman's story is somewhat rooted in kind of a reality of like he's a rich dude,
like Iron Man.
He's also fighting. But I have a feeling that he wouldn't just be some like college kids like I'm going to fight danger now and then try to go up against Darkseid. And just be like flicked, like I would assume that like even second year Batman means like years of training.
I would assume
ahead of time or something.
But you never know what they're thinking over at WB. I just don't.
Wouldn't that be wild if we saw a Batman movie with like very little action and it's just like, oh, this is just a noir mystery, and that's why Rob Pattinson didn't have to work out.
It's actually a comedy.
Oh gosh.
The instead of Batman. It goes some other way that fails terribly.
I don't know, man.
I've never forgotten about a movie so many times, other than this new Batman movie with Rob Pattinson. I keep forgetting they're doing it until someone reminds me they're doing it.
I haven't seen a lot, about it. It's like, oh, hey, he's doing this or that. I'm like, okay. We see a couple pictures here and there, but I know they're probably trying not to release all that stuff because of people being pissy on the internet about it. Batman's an iconic character. You can't and you can't take someone like Robert Pattinson and put him in that role without any kind of same thing with Ben Affleck or anybody else. You could take whoever, George Clooney even. Doesn't matter. You can't say put them in that role and not have someone go, that's not Batman. You got to get somebody that's brand new.
Yeah. I don't know why we can't just have a break from them for a little bit.
Because they're money making.
But there's so many other I don't know, like do something good that kinds up being kind of timeless, because I feel like there was a break between the Dark Knight stuff, like the Christopher Nolan stuff, and the previous Batmans, So when Batman came back with Christopher Nolan, it was like, oh my god, this is like a new this is like a new telling of it. Now I don't know, I'm unclear if Rob Pattinson's Batman is like an overlap to all, like to the Justice League Batman. Is he supposed to be Ben Affleck? Like what's going on,
Yeah, let's see. Batman and Robin was the last one. with that had Clooney in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 97, and then I'm sure it's probably 2005 for the other one.
Something like that, mid-early 2000s.
Batman Begins.
Oh, that was another thing. They said Batman Begins in this. I was like, they said it. I forget what context.
Yep, 2005.
So there was almost a decade between them?
97 to 2005, yeah, from releases. So I mean,
see, that sounds fair to me, though.
Yeah.
Like,
but you know how big of like a failure that Batman and Robin. So they were probably like, let's hurry up and get this out of the way.
The same with Batman v Superman, or Justice League or any of that. It's like, let's just
let's just throw 20 more million at it.
Let's focus on Harley. Let's focus on Harley for a while.
Oh gosh.
People like Harley.
Man. Or they like Margot Robbie. I don't know.
Yeah. Anywho.
Man, yeah, it's a interesting thing with this whole Snyder Cut deal. And how many hours? 4 hours?
You said, yeah, I think
it said estimated, right? 4 hours in the Hollywood Reporter.
Wow.
But we won't know until it happens. This is also the DCEU. For all we know, it comes out, it's going to be Lego.
Yeah.
That'd be so dope. I would love to see an Lego X-Men. That would be kind of like jokey, funny, all of like the inside jokes and stuff, all the fan service.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, Lego does have like Lego Avengers stuff, so they're definitely more probably into DC than Marvel, but they do have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Small movies, yeah. Indiana Jones, Star Wars.
That's right. I forgot they have an Indiana Jones.
I would love if they brought back the thumb people ones. Remember those? The Thumb Wars?
Yeah.
The best.
Thumb Wars. Oh my God.
Like, I'm going to trust the Force. Like, Luke, put on your targeting helmet. But I want to trust the Force. That's what it's there for. Put on your targeting helmet. I love that. If you guys have never seen Thumb Wars, it's a classic. I'm imagining it's probably on YouTube because no one will buy it right now.
Oh, gosh.
They literally had dressed people's thumbs up as like Luke and whoever else, and then they superimpose people's mouths and nose on it. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. It's super popular though.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably sold. In fact, I'm going to look that up. I bet they sold a crap ton of those. Thumb Wars. Oh gosh, oh man, they even did the Phantom Cuticle.
That's funny.
Oh man, that's so good.
I mean, it was a fun movie.
Yeah,
I think it was better than like the Batman, the Venom, and Aquaman, and all that stuff. But at the same time, I'd put them on the same shelf for me.
The cartoon, that's what we were watching.
Yeah, the Apokolips War or whatever.
Yeah,
it was just kind of like it's there. There's a lot of great visual action stuff happening. I just don't know why any of it happens. I'm thinking about it, but it was like cool to watch, and it did. I felt like it got the dark tone right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, something's happening with my cat. I'm like watching myself like speed ramp. Okay, there we go.
Oh, there you caught up. You caught up to yourself. You're the Flash.
Yeah. So I feel like if the Justice League Zack Snyder thing was trying to be dark, I felt like this got the tone. Maybe it's because of the magic or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. If I watch it again, it'll be like Venom or Aquaman, where it's like it's playing while I'm like, cleaning the house or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I enjoyed it. There was a lot of things I didn't like about it, but I think more so there were things I liked than there were things that I disliked. So it's not something I would watch again per se, but I do want to check the other dark DC movies because I haven't seen the other. I guess there's 2 other ones, or I don't know. I'll have to check.
I wish that there was like more concerted effort from the beginning for them to be like, hey, we're going to actually put all these movies together and they're going to culminate into something in the future. I just wish there would have been more emphasis on that just so that people knew. But
yeah, it's pretty loose.
It's still fun. It's fine. I'll probably watch it with Naomi later.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I figured maybe next week we do Scoob.
Yes. I was gonna say no. We gotta do Scoob.
because I'm trying to see the IKEA. I mean Falcon Fury.
Yeah, I bought it the other day because I was like really wanting to see it at the theaters. So like I saw that it came out. I think originally it just came out on Amazon, and now I think it's everywhere. But
I think it was the first one that they experimented with the $20 rental and $25 purchase.
Yes, actually, I purchased it. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, $5 more. If I'm already paying $20 to freaking rent it, why not $5 more to have it?
The Hunt, I think, was like a $20 rental or something when it came out because it was supposed to be in theaters.
Yeah.
And it just released for like purchase like this week or whatever for $15. I wonder if you rented it for $20, how you felt.
Oh, gosh. I would hate myself if I rented a movie for that much. That's ridiculous. Like, pay it for $5 more and you can have it forever.
Yeah, well, see, the Hunt at that time there weren't any options to buy it. You only rented it for $20.
Yeah.
But a side note, if you bought Onward, not rented, if you bought Onward like when it came out on home, it didn't have any special features. And at some point, they put a bunch of special features in. Because I randomly checked it the other day.
Yeah.
And they're there. So.
Oh, that's odd. And
no
funny.
Scoob. Hey, speaking
Penny.
of Scoob, I have to like curb my swearing now.
I got the headphones on.
My pre-thoughts about Scoob. I haven't seen it yet. Have you watched it yet?
I have watched it.
Okay, so my pre-thoughts are so Scott Nicewander is the biggest Scooby fan, and he said like it was fine. He wasn't disappointed, but it wasn't the build-up he wanted. I watched an interview with Matthew Lillard, who was just kind of like, it's a bummer. I've done the voice. He's been the only Shaggy since Casey Kasem.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, just no call.
I really love, like, there's Mystery Inc., which is kind of like, it's a cartoon. I think it's on Netflix. And it's more of like, hey, I'm talking. It's more of like an overarching storyline. Like, it all connects. And it culminates to something. And I loved that show. And the girls all love that show. And Penny really liked the movie. I'm not going to get into it just because there's a lot of stuff to get into it. I both liked and hated the movie at the same time.
And then the second thing was that I guess it's being speculated that it didn't do too well.
Oh, I imagine not. I didn't see hardly anything coming out for it except for like 5 months ago when they were like, here's a trailer. Trailer.
It is number one on all the services.
Oh.
But they don't know what that means because streaming numbers aren't reported.
Yeah.
And so I heard the talk again was like either what it probably means is it didn't do too hot because they would be bragging about it at this point like Scoob made $100 million in one weekend.
I don't see it anywhere, to be honest. Like I don't see any of the news or anything like that. Yeah.
Or they said the less likely thing was that Trolls over-reported. But we don't know. So I don't know. It's we're in a new world now where like we don't know what the box office numbers are because they're not required.
And nor are like if they wouldn't say them unless they wanted them to look good. So
yeah.
Or like you said, they might have overinflated. Like, look how well we did. We don't need you anymore. Like,
that's wild too, because that kind of implies that they weren't even close.
Yeah,
to like a big number.
Who knows?
Because the Capone movie came out, I guess.
I heard everybody hates that.
It was also number one, but it was the week it was number one. It made $2.5 million, and they were like, "Oof!" Like, so they're like,
in the hat.
Man, would that mean Scoob potentially only did like a couple mil or something?
Maybe. I'm excited to talk about it, but next week for sure.
Yeah.
I want to rewatch it just to talk about it. To be honest, Penny loves it. You like Scoob, Penny? She likes Scooby Doo. I love Scooby Doo.
I feel like that's the target demographic too. You know, like
yeah, I guess maybe like children. Maybe I don't know.
Well, just all these new Scoobies, you know, because like I feel like the Scoobies that we all remember are like the original Scooby, and then like Pup Named Scooby Doo, maybe or something, you know.
Yeah.
But everything from then on was kind of like more geared towards like little kids.
Yeah. Pup Named Scooby Doo is definitely more towards little kids, but like even the old one is even a little bit older. I mean, I love it. Yeah. I don't think I've seen a Scooby Doo that I didn't like. It's all very similar. It's almost like the Turtles. So we're like
that you Scooby don't.
Exactly. It's almost like the Turtles where like you can't really get them completely 100% wrong. It's like the same story over and over again whenever they redo it. However, a lot of people are not liking the new Turtles series. So,
well, is there supposed to be like some sort of? Did you see that picture of the actors in mocap for a new Turtles movie?
I've heard that there's something going on, but I don't know what's going on. So
I didn't know if it was a cartoon movie or some sort of like computer, like half live action, like the last one was.
I wish they would say something.
Interesting,
I haven't seen a lot about it at all. I've heard rumblings of something going on, but it's all owned by Universal now, so Universal / Nickelodeon. So
we'll have all this scrumptious information next time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and hopefully you guys can join us in watching Scoob and check out next week's episode. Actually, next week. Yes, no, because this is. Never mind. I'll shut up.
I feel like, and I know as far as Apokolips War, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I feel like if you were going to see it, you're going to see it.
Yeah.
Because now I'm catching up on like that. It's been several films and stuff. However, if you're like me and haven't seen anything, maybe find a friend that has seen it and have them give you like watch these movies first or something.
Yeah, you should probably watch just a couple of them, and there's probably a handful that.
Because I like the presentation of it, but there was a lot of stuff that was like, what? What happened? Like, why is that? What?
Yeah, I think this is the 16th movie. So
gotcha.
Of whatever this universe-ish kind of thing. And I know they don't all connect 100%. So I mean, like they all are like purposefully done that way.
See, that's more infuriating to me though, because of the way they did this movie, where they were just like, "In my father," like, "Wait, what?" Like, that's in your head. Like, you need to tell me about that. But if things they make references to things that are supposed to be clearly represented in other things.
If you know anything about Raven, though, you know that.
Yeah, so, or I guess maybe Damien being at that thing, you know, like it felt like tail ends of stories, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I'm hoping this Zoom meeting went well. Hopefully, it'll be easy to chop up.
Do we get graded after we end the session?
Sure.
So give us a grade.
A+.
All right. Well, I'm glad to see everybody's holding up. I hope you guys are too out there.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure to come back. You know, your lovable nerds will be ready for a whole nother episode with Scooby. It's just called Scoob.
Just Scoob.
Scuba Steve.
Dang you, Scuba Steve.
All right. And that's it for Yellow Spandex. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Peace now. Bye. I'm going to go eat some.
I need to eat too.